Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. And today we have with us Jason Nye, who is with Action Coach. Jason, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Hey, you're welcome. So I'm excited to learn about your background and what you do to help transform the lives of entrepreneurs. And so many times when you hear coach, you think, well, there's got to be some history and background of success in business or corporate. So what was your kind of journey that brought you to now being able to impart that knowledge to the businesses that you work with?
Yeah, I'm actually quite proud of my progression throughout the industries that I've been involved with. It all kind of started back in the mid-'80s where I began in the labor force and served some hard time as an installer in the building materials world, and got so good at it that I decided that I was going to go out and start my own business because I was really good at something.
Yeah.
The world showed me pretty quickly that I knew nothing about building a business. Just because I was good at something didn't mean I was actually going to be able to grow a business. And so when the doctor came to me and said, son, we're going to give you two choices. We're going to give you either new kneecaps or you're going to find something else to do, I chose the something else to do. And so it began this thought process of going in and methodically starting to own and master the industry that I was in. And so if you could look back at my career, you'll find that there is between a 5 to 7 year chunk of time where I went in and I really took the time to learn and understand and master everything from, the raw material side and how it comes from the earth and how it's manufactured. And then from the manufacturing process, how is it delivered to the wholesale distribution level? And what are the challenges and the obstacles in that world? And then I went into the wholesale distribution world and understood the dynamics from wholesale distribution to retail, and all of the different elements that complicate that world and the opportunities that lie there. I then went into global sourcing, and I understood it from a worldwide platform of how factories overseas operate and their methodology to market trends in the U.S. and how currency exchange rates affected things and how freight brokerage exchange affected things. And I really, at the end of it, really had a holistic view from raw material in the earth all the way to installation into someone's home or a commercial building. And so that full breadth of knowledge gave me the confidence and the inspiration to start my own consulting career in 2014, at which point I actually teamed up with the company on an exclusive basis where I ran their holdings company, actually did an acquisition within there, and got to the point, Mike, where, as a consultant, and this is just my personal experience, as the consultant, really what was happening is I was really doing all of the work, and I wasn't really educating anybody on the principles of actually how you grow it. And so, it really sparked a passion of mine to find an outlet where I could take my knowledge, my experience, and my passion and really educate owners so that they can now take the knowledge and really grow their business, and more importantly, if they choose to actually duplicate it or start other businesses. And so that's what my wife and I decided to do, is to bring that knowledge, experience, and passion here to the home front and really influence and impact local business owners so that they are thriving not only in our communities but in their own personal lives. And so that's what led me to Action Coach.
I love it. And Jason, you said something really profound, and I'm sure if I point it out, you'll go, yeah, I meant that. But so many times I think we say something and it's just part of our ethos, our personality, but it's something I think you need to put a pin in. And you use the word mastery, and you didn't just try and fill in the blanks or check the boxes of learning your previous industry. You studied and mastered it and became an expert in that, in every nuance of it, up, down, right to left. And so I think that that's a trait that a lot of the clients you work with locally there or however, even remotely, I think that's something that you probably naturally talk about, is being able to master that business, because that tends to be a very, very strong indicator that your business is going to succeed when you have that level of mastery. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, for me, it was all about the cause and effect. If I understood how each arm of an industry affects the other, you really begin to understand what's driving, market trends. You really start to understand what's driving profitability levers. You really start to understand what end users are looking for. Having a full understanding really comes from an intentional education. You have to take the time as a business owner or as an individual to really educate yourself, because it's not going to just fall in your lap unless you've got 30 years of experience under your belt and you've kind of been through it all. And so one of the ways that you can jumpstart that is by education, is taking the time to educate yourself. And so that's for me the beauty of being the coach and having that mentality of being really a business educator. To me, that I think that the most successful businesses in the world and the most successful business people in the world have really latched on to this idea that the number one thing that they can do for themselves and their company is focus on education as being the single most important thing that they can do for themselves and for their company. And so that's what I encourage all business owners to do, is to take a real intentional look at your education so that you can master whatever it is that you're looking to do now or in the future.
Yeah. And you did it again, so I'm going to draw attention to another word because I think it's, again, profound, intentional. Mm-hmm. So you think about the Bill Gates of the world, or the big leaders of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Yesterday I interviewed Dr. Joseph Michelli, and he is writing a book, or literally within days of launching his next book on the profound phenomenon of Airbnb. And you think about Airbnb and even Uber, how they disrupted industries. Well, those people, the CEOs, the thought leaders behind those brands, they've got the same 24 hours in every day that we do. How in the world are they able to do what they were able to do? Well, they were intentional about what they wanted to accomplish. And so I think that when you are working with your clients, you've got to figure out, okay, let's be intentional about achieving this first step right in front of us. And I think that too many times, I think we kind of view, sometimes business owners view like, okay, I'm a business, and I've seen the meme before. Maybe you've seen it as well. Like, you're a business, what is it? You've got you're a business owner. You started your business so you can get a 40-hour-a-week job. I remember when I worked part-time as well, and so there's so many things coming at business owners. So speak a little bit about that aspect of being intentional. But the thing that I think that you bring out with your clients is, you're going to miss the forest for the trees if you are not having someone from the outside look in that has that expert guidance like yourself. So when you can work with the coach and see where you need to be intentional with, that's where you kind of get that traction.
Yeah, what I've found is the commonality to just about every single business owner that I talk to is that for the most part, everybody that's a business owner knows the rules of the game. They know how to operate their business. You think of some of the greatest people out there, whether they're musicians or actors or actresses or athletes. Back in the 80s, Michael Jordan was really bad at 3 points. I think he was like at 16%, something along that line. And he worked with his coach, and the year later, his 3-point average went to 32 or 33%. And all it was the coach being able to see that the elbow needed to come in a few inches. Michael Jordan knew he knows the elbow rule. We all know the rules, but sometimes when we're in the daily minutia and the daily grind is we can't see the elbow rule and apply that to any area of your work life that you want to. So having that objectivity from the coach is hypercritical as far as I'm concerned. When I think about the word intentionality, though, it really comes down to two basic principles for me. Number one is being intentional has to be attached to something, right? So theoretically speaking, we talk about the goals and having a strategy to the goals. But more importantly, on the goal setting and being able to become intentional, for me personally, it comes with a daily action plan. So I have a daily default diary that I keep so that my intentionality has an accountability chart that's attached to it. And so I think that is really, really important for those who really want to take that word intentionality and actually live it out, is get yourself a daily default diary where you've got your tasks set out by the hour and hold yourself accountable to it, or find someone like a coach to help you hold you accountable to it. The second thing that I would tell you is that with intentionality, there's so many business owners that I meet that besides cash flow as being an issue, it's typically, the comments are, Jason, I just want my time back. I want to be intentional, but 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, I'm just running around. And, at the end of the day, I'm trying to figure out what I've done. And so whenever I hear those things, really what I'm hearing is that there's probably a lack of systems that are in place. Mm-hmm. And so for companies that are wanting to grow, or for business owners that are wanting to become more intentional with their time, is we have to find ways to implement systems. And systems can be everything from people to training to your technology to your delivery and distribution and to your testing and measuring. There's so many different things that need a system for it, so that when at the end of the day, if you've got a system in place that's being measured and being held accountable, you as the business owner now are freed up to really invest your time into becoming more intentional.
That's a huge, huge point, and I know that there's I don't know, even online, there's softwares for this, but if you imagined some, intern with a clipboard walking behind you every moment of the day for a week, and you started just having them watch you, okay, when we have this order come in, here's the steps in the process. And so if you could magically have every single step that's in your head as the owner down in this system, this checklist, this flow chart, whatever you want to think of it as, now all of a sudden, it liberates you to see, okay, yeah, I am got this process in place, but it also allows you to have someone come in that you can hand that off to, and they can follow it like a playbook. So I think that systems, what's the acronym? Systems save yourself time, energy, and money. It's those kind of things that people don't think about. They just feel like, well, I can do it better myself because I'm the owner, and it take me longer to explain it to you. And then if you did it, I'd probably need to go back and redo it. Is their thought process? How do you get a business owner to think kind of that 30,000 foot view about their business?
Well, I think for me, a business owner at the end of the day performs just as good as his people that he has on his team. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's what it really comes down to. And so the other hidden element to systematizing the business, as categorically and as defined as you can, is that I'm a firm believer that when you are hiring people, and you're hiring the right people for the right job in the right seat, good people actually want to be held accountable. They may not know it, but people perform better when they know the rules of the game. If they know what is expected and how it's going to be measured, they can actually punch out at 5 o'clock or whatever time their time card says, and they can drive home knowing that they have accomplished or they have exceeded what the rules of the game were. And that, for me, increases employee retention through the roof when you actually have employees that are very clear on what the systems are and what their responsibility is. And so one of the fastest ways for a business owner to really buy into this idea of taking the time and the energy and the money to create systems is to really show the bottom line increase on productivity from his employees. And so, if you want to double the size of your business, you really only have one or two choices. You can either sell more or you can become more productive. Yeah. Which one's more affordable? Being more productive. And so when you systematize your business and your employees are thanking you for it, whether you know it or not, the productivity goes through the roof, and so does your employee retention.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, that's huge because you know what? They feel like they aren't running in 19 directions. They feel like with the system, they're like, okay, we're busy and we're crazy, and that's a given. But we see where we're headed, and we're making those achievements. And isn't it true that you get like that dopamine rush when you achieve a task and you check it off? So I think that team, having the right team in there, and then they feel like we're all in this together and making progress, and we see where we came this week, and we see where we're going next week. That's a really, really big, huge thing. Hey, so what do you feel is something that when a business owner would come to you and say, I need more growth? Now, I think that's a loaded question because you can go, well, if you need more revenue, let's first of all plug up the holes in the bucket to make sure that the revenue is going to the right place and being used and all of those things. But what do you find is something that's overlooked or kind of like a secret about business growth?
Well, I've had this conversation so many times this week. I've had the question this week. Hey, what's the number one thing that I can do to grow my business? And my answer is pretty much the same every single time. If you're looking to grow the business, the mentality that there's a silver bullet out there, you have to get away from. There's not one thing that you're going to do to change the growth of your business. Now, I believe that there's one idea, there's one innovative thing, or there's one new thing that you could add that could really change the dynamic of your business. But if you're talking about growth from a revenue perspective, stop chasing that silver bullet. So many business owners that I talk to think that, look, it's all about lead generation, right? So marketing is huge, and it is. And if I divert all of my energy to leads, it's going to end in the bottom line. And that is true. It might increase 20%. It might increase 10%. But when you look at your business from the business recipe that really is there is a strategic approach to growing the business. And it really lies in what we teach and we educate businesses on is it really comes from 5 different areas. When I have a conversation with a business owner, chances are they're going to know how many customers they have, they're going to know the revenues that they have, and they're going to know the profitability of the company. But what a lot of business owners are lacking is the raw data and the knowledge of, how many leads are they actually getting in a month? How many of those are they actually converting, which then gives you the amount of customers you have? Very little know actually the number of their repeat business, how many of their customers are actually coming back to buy from them. Very little know the average dollar sale that they're actually getting from each client. And, of course, the margin. And so what we teach and what we educate is that when you look at your business strategically in a methodic way of growing each one of those 5 areas, again, their leads, conversion rate, number of transactions, average dollar sale, and your margin, if you can implement new strategies in each one of those 5 areas, what you have at the end of the day is a compounding effect. And so if we can take the 87 strategies that we have and implement a few of them in the lead generation, chances are the number is going to go up at least 10%. We have 83 strategies as it relates to conversion rate. We have 74 strategies as it relates to getting repeat customers. We have 63 strategies that relate to your average dollar sale increasing. And we have 53 strategies as it relates to margin conversion. Higher margin conversion. And so when you look at each one of those 5 and you implement 4, 5, or 6 different strategies, what ends up happening is you get the compounding effect from each one of those. So at the end of the day, the 10% overall in each one of those typically ends up increasing about 61% to the very bottom line within 12 months. Wow. And so for me, the best kept secret is what does your strategies look like as it relates to each one of those 5 areas and not just one holistically.
Yeah, that's huge. And it kind of gives me the idea of kind of like a rising tide raises all boats, so if you're doing improvements in one area, it's going to improve that area, but also it tends to have some positive impact in other areas as well at the same time, even before you start focusing on it.
That's right.
Super. Well, let's wrap up with what do you think a couple, 3 things are that businesses can be doing now to take that first step in improving their business? Of course, reaching out to you and having you bring that third party, party perspective. But what are some kind of actionable tactics that they can look at in their business to see if maybe there's an opportunity for improvement?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is they have to make sure they have a plan.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I know that's theoretical, but how deep is your plan? For a lot of business owners and individuals, it's easier to set that 5-year or 10-year plan. But really, I'm gonna come back to that topic that I said earlier, which is, what does the plan look like for tomorrow?
Yeah.
What's the plan look like for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday? What are you doing tomorrow to actually hit your monthly number that's going to hit the quarterly number that's going to hit the annual number? And so really dialing in your plan down to the day, down to the hours, number one. Number two, I would say that you really have to dial in your clarity and vision. And so part of that clarity is knowing the actual data as it relates to those 5 areas that we discussed earlier: your leads, your conversion rate, your repeat customer, your average dollar sale, and your margin. Once you really have identified those real numbers, the old saying, what you measure actually gets changed.
Yeah.
And so you can actually build strategies once you actually have the hard numbers, which will then, of course, affect the vision. The third thing I would say, and I'll say it again, we said it earlier, is you got to make education your primary focus if you want to grow. We have a saying at Action Coach, and that is, you got to learn before you earn.
Yep.
And so the more that you learn, the more you're going to earn. And that's just, I think that's Murphy's Law. So you gotta make education a priority. And the fourth and final thing that I would say is, I don't care who you are. I mean, I personally have a coach. A coach has a coach. And I have a coach because I need the accountability. That's what I need, because I need someone to hold me accountable to my plan. And so most successful people that I know have someone that's coming alongside of them, giving them that objectivity, giving them that strategic look, and giving them the accountability that they need. Those are the 4 areas I would say that someone can do tomorrow.
That's awesome. Well said. Really succinct. Here's a question. When you have a business owner that's looking at improving their business and they start thinking, maybe I need to bring someone in as a coach, you've got a competitor in the world, in the region, in your state, online. So what would you say to someone that you do differently? What sets you apart from other coaches?
Yeah, well, number one, I don't think that there's another coaching firm in the world that's going to offer anybody a guarantee. We are so confident in our ability to make an impact in your business that we give a 17-week guarantee, or it's free, and it doesn't get any clearer cut than that. So we are a results-driven coaching firm. Our tagline is "Real people with real results," and I think that number one, that's our number one differentiator. But number two is, it really does come down to, again, you said it best, there's so many coaches that are out there, and there's a lot of good ones out there. But for me, it all comes down to a strategic, systemized method to growing a business, and not the theoretical stuff, even though the theoretical stuff is ultra important. But if you really want to dive in deep and get revenue and get teams and get growth happening, it has to be strategic.
Yep.
And so what strategies are you using? So, I've got 354 strategies in my back pocket. And that, to me, really sets us apart.
Well, and guess what? You could take those 354 and put them in a PDF and send them out to someone, and they'd look at it like what is this? So what you bring to it is your expertise and your knowledge of learning and diagnosing the business and going, okay, of these 354, we're going to start off with these 3 and these 2, and then we're going to move into this next phase, and so I think that too many people want that quick fix, and they want to Google something and download something, and it's not going to do any good. You've got to work with someone that can learn your business and see exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, and then hold you accountable for that. And we could probably do 19 episodes on the power of accountability. So I think that's a really important piece to keep in mind.
Let me tell you about the hidden value add that we add. The hidden value add is this. There's not another coaching firm in the world that, let's just say that tomorrow we have a conversation and you give me a curveball that I've never heard of before. I can, within a matter of minutes, access 999 other coaches around the world that are the brightest minds that I've ever met. And we are in a highly communicative firm. And I can get answers to questions within hours, to the most challenging questions from the brightest minds.
Yeah.
And that to me is a huge value add that we can add to any business owner.
Yeah. It reminds me of the mastermind that Napoleon Hill talks about, and if you, I watched the video, and I know talk about it in the book, and you've heard this example too, where it's like back in the day, Henry Ford was literally put on trial, like, you don't know enough to run this company, and they asked him these questions, and he's like, you know what, I don't know the answer to this question, but with one push of this button on my desk, I can bring in my top executive that knows the answer, and that's true power.
Right.
So yeah, what you just described, that's a huge secret weapon that shouldn't be a secret. So we'll try to help you make it not be a secret anymore. Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much for your time. It was really great chatting with you and getting to know your business and what you provide value for your business owners.
Yeah, if they want more information, they can find me at www.jasonneu.actioncoach.com, and that's JASONNEU.actioncoach.com.
And I will also make sure to have that in the show notes so that it'll be a nice hyperlink. But yeah, definitely going over to your website. And also, when I was on your website, don't you offer a free coaching session?
We do. You have an opportunity to go in there and do like a diagnostic report that gives me pretty much all the information that I need to offer a complimentary coaching session.
Perfect.
Based off of the information you send.
Excellent. Well, that's a wonderful gift. Thank you so much for that, and thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.